so it's 5 a.m. Quick warning, it's gonna get a little political. I didn't think it was gonna get a little political, but it's gonna get a little political. Originally, I had seen this TikTok on TikTok, of an interview with Jerry Seinfeld where he's talking about how he likes a dominant man. Roll the clip.
I miss a dominant masculinity.
And immediately I was like, yeah, I should watch that. I kind of want to react to that because right now it just sounds like, I don't know, Jerry saying he misses when men were, what was, how do you say it?
A dominant masculinity.
That's what it was. He misses dominant masculinity, and that just sounds assaulty. That just sounds like assault. I don't know. Like, masculinity is fine, but dominant masculinity? What are we talking about, Jer Bear? So I thought that was weird, and I was like, I'll react to this video. And you know what? It was weird. The whole video's pretty weird. Jerry does acknowledge that he is not one of the people that falls under dominant masculinity, but he finds it attractive. Which is so weird.
That's part of what makes that moment attractive looking back. And the other thing is, as a man, can I say that?
You sure you are? Are you?
I've always wanted to be.
I didn't ask your pronouns before we began.
I've always wanted to be a real man. I never made it.
And then he goes on to list 3 people who he thinks are dominantly masculine, and he names JFK, a guy who famously cheated on his wife, Sean Connery, who apparently abused his wife, and in a 1965 issue of Playboy, said that he thinks slapping women is totally cool. He tells you how to slap a woman, and also gives you reasons for why you should. Whoa! Dominant masculinity. And they're having conversation about the 60s being better than now, and Jerry says it was better because there was a hierarchy back then.
But there's another element there that I think is the key element, and that is an agreed upon hierarchy, which I think is absolutely vaporized in today's moment.
Like, you knew who was in charge back then. And I don't, the implications to that in the 60s, that'll come back around. It'll come back around. That was what I was going to watch the video for. That's all I thought the interview really was, but then I watched the whole 32-minute video, and oh my god. First off, the interviewer is terrible, but Jerry loves her because she laughs at everything.
It is. It will not be. Why are you talking about this? And that's when I realized what a real comedian is. That's the answer to the question. How long does it take them to notice you really don't belong on that field? I'm not getting in my car to go see this when I got enough crap in my life. Life without humor is a tough slog. If I was a superhero, I would be Analogy Lad. Analogy Lad can't help you with anything, but like. So as Analogy Lad, analogy is the tuning fork.
And Jerry's not a funny comedian. I'm sorry. So Jerry can't tell what a fake laugh is, but oh my god. She was just sucking the farts right out of his butthole. And just to continue on the Jerry not being funny, he tells his favorite joke. He says this is his favorite joke. And I need to explain a little bit because I didn't even know what the word was. He says vicar in the joke. And a vicar is a parish priest. Here's the joke.
Here's one of my favorite jokes. I think it's a English, some pastor or vicar, one of those things, I don't know why those make jokes funnier when it's a vicar.
Vicars are funny.
Yeah. So he's got this beautiful garden, magnificent garden.
Yeah.
And this other guy walks up and he's admiring it. And he looks at the garden and he goes, boy, God's best work, huh? And the vicar looks up to him and says, you should have seen it when he was in charge of it.
That's Jerry's favorite joke. A world-class comedian. And the laugh she gave him could not have been faker. I don't think she knows what a vicar is.
Things, I don't know why those make jokes funnier when it's a vicar.
Vicars are funny.
Yeah. So
I had to look it up. And then later on, he tells a real life scenario that made him think of how like funny life is. And here it is.
I'm going into a Met game the other day, and I get to the gate, and there's a woman at the gate, and I go, oh, damn, I forgot my phone. I go, the hell with it. What do I need the phone? I'm going to go watch the baseball game. She goes, go get your phone. Get your phone. I go, why? He goes, because your wife's going to call, and she's going to go, why didn't you answer? I kept calling you.
That's not funny either. That's not funny at all. Like, what? And then Jerry's impressed that the ticket lady would be that funny. Like, you're a ticket lady. You're too low on the totem pole to be funny, you know what I'm saying?
And this is the lady that tears the ticket.
Yeah.
That's how funny she is. This is New York for me.
And Jerry goes on to say that there's no such thing as writer's block.
No writer's block. There's no writer's block. There's lazy, there's scared, but there's no writer's block. Just sit down and realize you're mediocre and you're going to have to put a lot of effort into this to make it good. That's what writing is.
And that if you have it, you just have to accept that you're mediocre and work harder. Jerry, you don't have writer's block because your jokes are like, better get your phone from the car because your wife's going to text you.
Get your phone. I go, why? He goes,
Jerry, you just think and write it down and think, this is funny. I get laughs. People are laughing. Which leads me into the next thing, that he does that cop-out thing that all not funny comedians do, where they're like, well, if you don't find it funny, I find that funny because you don't find it funny. It's funny.
because there's nothing funnier to me than people complaining that I didn't laugh, because they want to laugh. And I relate to it. I get it. I think it's funny that you hated it because you wanted to laugh and you didn't laugh.
Okay, but you actually will read bad reviews.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
They're funny.
Have you always been like that?
Yes, it doesn't matter what you think of me. Why would I think that I'm going to make something that everyone will like?
Like, he basically says exactly that. He says that punching down isn't a thing. Punching down isn't a yes, it is.
Do you think punching down is a thing? Like, is that a real phenomenon?
No. I don't. Comedy is a extraordinarily simple binary outcome event. Is it funny or it isn't? And nobody cares really about anything else. What we really hate is when someone does something that's not so funny and we didn't laugh, and now I'm going to criticize it because it didn't make me laugh.
Every comedian knows that. Anybody never mind. Like, if you make jokes just at the expense of somebody for being who they are, that is punching down. If you make jokes at somebody at the expense of their situation being bad, that's punching down. Jerry. And my favorite part of this Jerry not being funny thing is Jerry goes on this little rant about comedy correcting itself. And I didn't know what he was talking about at first, but what he was saying is, in comedy, if you suck at it, you're not going to be in it for long. Like, people are just going to kick you out of the comedian club. You're not going to be a comedian.
And the ecosystem of comedy is the most, not the most, but one of the most self-correcting ecosystems. I said to somebody the other day, comedy corrects itself. The only one that is way, way better would be the NFL. If you don't belong in the NFL and you are in the NFL, how long does it take them to notice you really don't belong on that field?
Which is insane because Jerry just put Amy Schumer in his movie.
I made a Pop-Tart movie because I want to.
Well, it has this amazing cast.
Yeah.
It's Amy Schumer.
Like, the most universally disliked comedian there is. I don't think Jerry's ever been funny. Jerry just played a comedian on a massively successful sitcom. So when the sitcom did well, he's like, I must be a good comedian. You guys are probably getting tired of my Jerry impression. I'm not going to stop. No, Jerry. If you ask anybody who watches Seinfeld what their least favorite part of Seinfeld is, they'd be like, oh, the stand-up bits from Jerry. They always suck.
So I went to a fashion show. First of all, the whole concept of modeling is counterproductive to the fashion industry. Because when these women are around, who's looking at clothes?
That's like a universally thought thing about Seinfeld, is that the worst part of it is his shitty stand-up.
That's why I really think we need some sort of sexual rule book. Any problems, you can go, look, honey, I'm very sorry, but we've been out 3 times, and according to Article 7, Section 5, there's got to be some physical contact, as you can see.
Besides being not funny, Jerry is very pompous. Extremely pompous. This video opens pretty much with Jerry talking about when we all die, we're not going to think about all the stuff we did in our life. We're going to think, that was good coffee.
Your last thought before you move on to the next world, whatever it is, it will not be about your relationships or your accomplishments. Your last thought will be, that was good coffee.
What? And then the interview asks him what's his definition of good coffee.
What's your best coffee? Not this. What's your favorite?
It's great. I love any coffee, but I don't know. Somehow when you're in like Italy, it seems like it tastes better with France.
Okay, well,
That is not an experience that most Americans just could throw out like that. Jerry. That is such a billionaire thing to say. Like, obviously people travel to Europe, but to be like, the coffee I like, I guess, wherever in Italy, or wherever in France, I would just say Folgers, because that's all I know, baby. And that's probably a good amount of America. He goes on another little tangent about how comedians can see through all the BS. There's so many layers of BS, and a normal person just lives with it, but a comedian is above it and sees through it.
That you are incredibly fortunate enough to have, if you spend your life in comedy and do well at it. The gift that you were given is you see through the surface of everything. Everything. Life itself. If everybody else is like 8 layers of fake, cream and veneers
Totally.
of waterproof wood coating, that you're on that, that's where most people live. That's why they come to see a comedian. How do they know these things?
Like that is such a pompous statement. Jerry Bear, he talks about how his frequency has to match the place he's in, and for humans to be in their best state of mind and body and whatever is for your frequency of your body to match the frequency of where you're at. And it's like, Jerry, that's another fucking billionaire thing to say.
So when you are in the place that your frequency vibration matches the frequency vibration of the place, you feel comfortable.
okay, well,
What? Yeah, my frequency doesn't match this shitty apartment because I don't want to be here, Jerry. Jerry! The interviewer asks him about young comedians in LA, and Jerry says this.
It's not dumb. It's just the things that it's focused on are dumb. They're not easy, but they're dumb. All your stupid shows. Stop with your stupid shows. It's not that great. Stop overselling everything.
everywhere you go, they're selling.
Yes, they just really exhaust themselves. I feel their what's the word?
Thirstiness.
Yes, the desp, as my kids would say.
Desp?
The desp.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thirsty and desp? Desp? Ugh. Like, first off, ew. Desp? Say desperate. You're like 70. But also, that was probably you one day, you dickhead. They're trying too hard. They should just have billions of dollars, like me, like Jerry. Jerry, they're trying. At the end of the interview, she asked Jerry who his hero is, and he says Marcus Aurelius, who is a Roman emperor. I had to look that one up, and a Stoic philosopher. Come on, man. Fucking... Dude, like, I have no words. It reminds me of that TikTok of the stars of Dune talking about their favorite movie, and it gets to Austin Butler, and he's like, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Ton film préféré quand t'étais enfant?
Monsters, Inc.
All right, I like it.
My favorite movie as a kid, I love The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
All right, as a kid.
As a kid.
That was my favorite movie as a child. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. It was probably something like Spirit. And that leads me into the political section of the video that I didn't expect. This video's just propaganda. It's just propaganda, like, most of the way through. We start out strong about a minute in when the interviewer calls college students who have been protesting, Ivy League jihadis.
Trump may or may not be president. Ivy League jihadis are sort of marching through campuses in the street. You know, it's not exactly a relaxing moment.
She's just trying to call them terrorists, and these students are not terrorists. That's just a word to scare Americans, and it's been a word to scare Americans since 2001. And it's racist. They talk about Jerry's movie, and she starts the conversation about the movie being like, this is a great distraction from what's happening in the world, isn't it?
Tony, it's so good.
Oh, thanks.
And it's just
Thanks.
a total distraction from everything going on
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
You mean the genocide? They're like openly saying they're trying to distract us. She's like, isn't this awesome? No. No. Then they have this conversation about like how Jewish people are, but it's that annoying thing where Zionists are like, all Jewish people are like this. No, Zionists think like this. And Jerry says, well, you do what you have to do and just try to keep a smile.
Such a great tradition of comedy in the culture of Jewish people is, with all their crap that they had to live with, they used their incredible brains to make each other laugh. You do what you have to do and save a big part of your head to laugh.
Ivy League jihad, it's not exactly a relax.
Do you know what they're doing, Jerry? Do you know what Israel's doing, Jerry? And like, they aren't straight up saying Israel and Palestine in these parts, but they're heavily alluding to it. And they think what's happening is funny. There was like 2 instances where the interviewer laughed. One was when she was saying Gaza, she giggled.
In December that attracted protesters, and then they were chanting that you're complicit in genocide.
And another one was when they played a clip of Jerry laughing at protesters who called him just some mean words.
There was this footage of you where they were calling you a genocide supporter and Nazi scum. And the thing that jumped out at me was not the things they were saying, of course, because they say it to anyone.
Yeah.
It's that you were smiling and waving and genuinely seemed to be enjoying yourself.
Yeah.
Were you?
Yeah.
Why?
It's so silly.
Jerry talks about how protesters come to wait outside his shows and how dumb they are and how they have their anger pointed at the wrong person. And she makes a joke about how Jerry's not pulling the strings. Jerry's got nothing to do with it.
I love that these young people, they're trying to get engaged with politics. We have to just correct their aim a little bit. You know, they don't seem to understand that as comedians, we really don't control anything.
Right,
You know?
right.
No one's really...
No, you're pulling the strings over the war in Gaza.
yeah.
Right?
And then, in just like perfect comedic timing, the next thing out of their mouth is, so you went to Israel after the war began. The war began.
You know, they wanna express this, you know, sincere, intense rage, but again, a little off target.
Right, right.
Little off target. So that's, to me, comedic. You know.
You were in Israel
Yes.
since the war started. How was that trip?
The most powerful experience of my life.
Like, Jerry, I've got nothing to do with it. I went there to raise morale and say hi to the IDF. And I've got nothing to do with it. Fuck you, Jerry. Even then, he donated $5,000 to a pro-Israel protest recently. Jer Bear. I've got nothing to do with it. And then he talks about his first trip to Israel and how he didn't realize until then how he was important to people. He just had no clue.
Well,
Or ending.
when I first time I went to Israel after I had finished the show, and I saw the way they reacted to me, and I realized this is not just normal interaction of celebrity public interface. This is different.
How?
I meant something, which I never knew.
But then again, there's this clip of Jerry getting pissed off at Larry.
Lasted how long?
9 years, 180 episodes.
You gave it up, right?
I did, sir.
They didn't cancel you. You canceled them.
You're not aware of this?
No, I'm asking you.
You think I got canceled? Are you under the impression that I got canceled?
Have I hurt you, Jerry?
Just for implying that his show got canceled. Just for implying it. And he didn't realize he was important. He obviously thinks he's incredibly important. Jerry is pompous.
I thought that was pretty well documented.
Don't
Is this still CNN?
Don't most shows go down a little?
Most people do also. But, yeah, no, I went off the air. I was the #1 show on television, Larry. Do you know who I am?
Jewish guy, Brooklyn.
Yes.
Okay.
75 million viewers. Last episode.
Boy, you don't take it so bad.
He's just virtue signaling. I didn't realize I was so important to somebody. Shut up, Jerry. You're literally the most famous person in the world. Fuck off. And back to the movie thing where she asks him about the 1960s being better and even acknowledges that the civil rights movement hasn't happened yet. And they're both like, yeah, it was better.
Is this. Like, I'm watching Walter Cronkite and I'm watching JFK and I'm thinking, like, just this period of, like, early 60s, Right Stuff, Tom Wolfe. And obviously there were problems, like civil rights movement had yet to start, like a zillion. But the thing that was present at that time that I feel like isn't now is a sense of like one conversation.
Yes.
Like a common culture.
It was just better back then. Everybody agreed with each other. She literally says, like, everybody had the same opinion or something along those lines. No, they didn't. It's just the ones with melanin weren't allowed to be vocal about those opinions. It was segregated. What? And if they vocalized those opinions, they'd either be killed or locked up. Everybody was just so much happier back then, am I right?
There's another element there that I think is the key element, and that is an agreed upon hierarchy, which I think is absolutely vaporized in today's moment.
The video ends with Jerry crying for Israel, and she asks why, and he's just got no words because, I mean, why is he? Is he crying that they don't have enough bombs? Like, this is just propaganda.
The most powerful experience of my life.
Really?
I'm sure, yeah.
Why?
You know, you just... You know.
Are you thinking of someone in particular?
Like, as someone who is in contact with someone in Gaza, and as someone who's been seeing videos from there, and all the stuff that I can't say here, because it'll get flagged, how could you just go and do this in an interview and just be like, yeah, it's so sad in Israel? We're seeing what's happening on the other side, and we're also seeing the videos in Israel of people just chilling. Jerry, come on, this is the worst propaganda. And then the best part is that Jerry goes on to describe what a political mob is, and just describes what a Zionist is, just describes the state of Zionism.
You're watching mobs. They're mobs. They're mobs believing their own crap, right?
Yeah.
That's what a political party is. We're going to make up a bunch of nonsense and we'll all agree to it, right? Right. Okay, let's print up some bumper stickers and get out there, kids. That's politics. So we're tribal animals. We're social creatures. We look for agreement and consensus. We're driven by agreement and consensus, and mob rule gives us comfort, gives us certainty.
Yeah.
It's all BS.
So beautifully ironic. And Jerry is such a bad comedian, he'll never see that. Just so clueless. This next part is true, so if this actually gets some traction, Jerry, you can't sue me or anything. You dated a 17-year-old publicly. Which makes these clips I'm about to play very funny to me, because you can just take things out of context from Jerry and be like, ha, like this one where he's describing doing comedy shows during the day at schools, but he calls it a nooner. A nooner, Jerry, is daytime sex, not a show.
In the early days of comedy, we often would get gigs called nooners. Have you ever heard of a nooner?
I'm guessing it's in the middle of the day.
It's in the middle of the day. A lot of times it was a school of some kind, and we would do them.
Hearing Jerry say a nooner at school. Yeah, Jerry, I bet. And then this next clip where he says he never grew up, it's a childish pursuit.
No, I never really grew up. I mean, you don't want to as a comedian because it's a childish pursuit.
Don't you hate it when your girlfriend can't come to your show because she has to study for math because she's failing? I say, honey, I don't care. I'm in a childish pursuit. Thank you. I don't need to make a joke for this one. It just sounds crazy.
My daughter is a writer, and I really have hammered her very hard.
You did what to her, Jerry? Jerry. And this last clip, I feel like the interviewer asked him this because she knows Jerry dated a 17-year-old. Because she... Oh my god, I'll just play it.
Woody Allen, innocent or guilty?
Don't care.
I wonder why Jerry won't answer the question. If you don't know, a little context, Woody Allen has been accused of pedophilia more than once. And if I'm getting the story correct, he divorced his wife and married his stepdaughter. Jerry, don't you hate when someone asks about someone who dated a child? I don't want to get in trouble. All right. That's the video. That's the long-ass video. Boom, bam, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. If you liked the video, like the video. If you didn't like the video,